the coaster.
All right, we're back.
It's gone.
From the
break.
The music that just happened.
We took a 30-minute break.
So full spoilers for Black Widow, the 24th film in the MCU.
$240 million, everybody.
And every other MCU movie, if you
technically, I
care.
guess.
Yeah, and show.
Spoilers for the Avengers from 2012.
So full spoilers for Black Widow. We're reviewing Black Widow, so let's get right into it. What do we think about this one, Ben?
She dies.
Damn, spoilers for Endgame.
Wow.
That's why I said every other MCU movie.
No,
You're
you're
right
right.
away
No, you're
spoiling
right.
Endgame.
No, we set ourselves up for this. No, you're right.
I haven't seen Endgame, Ben.
Bullshit.
It's true. I wasn't
It's
there.
not you tried to make a shirt that said Aven game on it and wear that to the day we went. Anyways, real thoughts. I highly enjoyed it, but this is definitely a Marvel movie that I'm not gonna go back to anytime soon.
Whew. Ryan.
I'm conflicted, I'm being honest. I really like it, but it's just like she's dead. Like Ben's right, like she's dead. And this movie came out after, and it just feels like, why did this movie come out? I enjoyed it. And I'm sure the further I get away from it from a couple years from now, I'm sure I'll feel better about it. But right now I'm just like, bro, she's dead. It's just weird. If the movie was more important, maybe, but like, bro, she died. I don't know.
Sparks?
We're gonna get into like all the reasons why and that kind of stuff, but I'm definitely sitting at like this is slightly above middle of the road, I think. If I'm giving like a general broad stroke real quick, is that this movie thrives mostly on the performances of the supporting cast more than anything. But I think Scarlett Johansson's able to give a lot to this as well, more than she ever was before. But the performances of the main four characters is what makes this movie work. And I think absent that, the movie has far less going for it. Besides the action and the score. Full disclosure, a friend of Brandon and I's, Luigi, worked on the score for the film, so I paid extra special attention to the score this time around. He was the score arranger for it, which is great. Luigi Jansen, you can see him in the credits, which is really awesome. So I'm a little biased about the score, but I thought the score was really good. But yeah, it just slightly sails above the middle of the road.
I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a lot of fun. I do agree that a lot of it is through the supporting characters. For me, I don't think it's not sure where it sits in my MCU ranking. I know it's not. It doesn't break top 10.
Oh yeah, definitely
Not even.
Not even close.
But I had a really good time.
I did too. And I think here's the thing for me. I think it's to its detriment and to its success. It does a better job of being a setup film for Florence Pugh than it is a send-off film for Natasha.
I think it's a good origin for our new Black Widow. I think it's a kind of bad movie for the one we have right now.
Yeah. I totally agree, because when this movie was coming out, I was like, where in the MCU does this take place? And we find out it takes place right after Civil War. So and then I was like, okay, it's been a while. What happened in Civil War? ... Okay, now I know.
Well, that's why Legends is there, Ben. On Disney Plus, you go and you watch it, and it recaps you on everything that happened.
I'd rather watch Civil War.
So I'll be perfectly honest. I only have one major critique with this film, and it is Taskmaster.
Well, cool. Let's do that.
I'm glad it's only
one.
one. I have a couple.
I have a few too.
I said major.
Right.
I said major. Everything else that I'll critique, probably even agreeing with you guys, never did hurt my interest in this film like Taskmaster did. And I'm not a huge Taskmaster guy.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you have to be. I think the character in the movie is bad.
And that's what I'm saying is what it is. I get thematically why they did that in the movie, but why does it have to be Taskmaster? Why can't it just be a widow?
Yeah.
And beyond that, it gives you PTSD from those early 2000s movies, comic book movies.
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Where we figured we were beyond this now, this sort of thing. Name recognition for the sake of name recognition. We're beyond that with the MCU. Why do we need that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we've read a Taskmaster book, a few of them, right?
No, just one.
Just the one. We read the one Taskmaster book as a book club for this show, and I highly enjoyed it. Even when I'm going back to play Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and I'm playing Taskmaster, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. I read a really good book of his.
He's a friend from work.
Yeah. So seeing Taskmaster, I was like, why is he silent? And then when I watch this movie, I'm like, okay, it's been a while, but if I remember correctly, he talks a lot in the books.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, I get the implication to make Dreykov's daughter kind of a ghost for Natasha.
I love that idea.
I think it's a really
The
cool
execution,
idea.
that sucks.
It just doesn't work as Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No, like, you know when Taskmaster like really freaked me out in a really good way? Spider-Man for the PS4.
Oh yeah.
He just shows up out of nowhere and wrecks your shit.
I think everything involving, again, like the action involving Taskmaster, I think is excellent. I think the mimicry is really good. It's just a boring henchman antagonist. Like it didn't have to be Taskmaster. It could have been any nameless villain. It could have just been the Red Widow. It could have been anybody.
I want to I do want to keep doing this Taskmaster conversation, but I do want to expand it a little bit because I'm.
Dreykov also sucks.
No, because I'm kind of agreeing with you about like the henchman thing, but I'm like, I don't think like it being Taskmaster is its own problem. Taskmaster has personality in the comics, and it sucks to not have that here. And yes, it gives me the same vibes as X-Men Origins Wolverine, what you're referring to, Brandon, with Deadpool, the way that they handled that.
I hate that I have to say that.
Yeah. It sucks. That sucks. But I think the idea of it being Dreykov's daughter, being controlled by Dreykov, all that kind of stuff, even as a henchman robbed of personality, would have worked for me. Had Dreykov been allowed as a character to lean more into the idea of him seeing women as instruments, had they actually expanded that concept and made him more than just bad Russian guy, and actually tackled the concept of why he ran the Black Widow program, why he thought that was okay, why he was so okay to even do this to his own daughter, had that been so prominent, the tragedy of what happened to her, not just because of what Natasha did, but what her father did to her, would have made her silence throughout the film more effective, so that at the end, when that line comes where she says, is he gone, would have the emotional gut punch that I want it to.
Yes.
And I don't think that's a Taskmaster problem. I think that's a Dreykov problem.
Again, Taskmaster, the overall problem for me in this movie is all the antagonists. Everything that the widows have to go against, I think kind of sucks. I think Dreykov sucks. He's introduced in the movie way too late. The first half of the movie, it's a lot of telling me, not showing
see him
me.
at the beginning of the movie.
You see him at the beginning of the movie. That's still not telling me who that character is.
Real quickly, Mag, I think bring this up nicely. Felt Weinstein vibes. I'm sure that was purposeful.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I agree with you. Like, he was gross, but he wasn't effectively villainous. Like, yeah, he was a creepy, gross dude about the way he talked about the women, but like, it was all talk. It wasn't there was no. I wanted him to be able to talk,
anything.
to expand on. He has this great line where he talks about the world's
cheapest commodity,
most abundant natural resource that he can just dispose of is girls. And like, I wish that ideology were completely permeating his entire personality throughout the film, and that were a huge thing about like how other people talked about him when he wasn't on screen, how he was presented when he was present. But he's just generic bad Russian dude.
He's a bad James
who's
Bond
misogynistic villain. And like, yeah, okay, but like, we could have done more. We could have done more to have tackled the reason why this guy was so good at and so driven to run this program, and we didn't do it.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem with this movie. It's like, if this is the last time that, like, this is the final Natasha Black Widow story, so it's got to be a story that's important to her story. We can tell it now and it'll be vital. I didn't think this movie did almost anything to her, because in the next movie, she sacrifices herself because she doesn't have a family, and the Avengers are her family. So this movie literally has no point, because like, it has no relevance to the sequel movie.
I really want to talk about that bit real quick. Sparks, you retweeted a spoiler that someone that posted. I mean, I saw it after I saw the movie.
I did say content warning, Black Widow spoiler.
You did. But the tweet was essentially about how in Endgame, Steve Rogers asked, "Does she have any
does she have family?"
Yeah,
no, us.
Yeah, us. It's like, now that's gone. Yeah. That's like, she does have a family. She has the Crimson.
Well, he never says no, she didn't. He says yeah, us, because he didn't know about her family.
I mean, yes, she does say that the Avengers.
No, he says no, us.
No, he says yeah, us.
Bro, I just watched the
Brandon's
is
right. It is
okay.
Us.
Yeah. Okay. But it's still, he's talking about them. He's talking about the Avengers.
But even to Brandon's point, like, my thing is that I can't believe that in the 5 years of Endgame, Natasha never once talked about her sister.
That's the
with
issue.
Steve.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. But like, even these kind of semantic things aside, the arc of Endgame's story is the point that the reason Natasha did this is because these were the only people that she felt like she truly earned her place with, had a home with, had a family with. And this, while it doesn't, I think, entirely undo that message, it certainly tarnishes it in an idea of how you would look at it chronologically.
So what another reason why I want to nitpick that bit a little bit more is because with movies like these, I'm just gonna call this movie a spin-off because that's what it feels like. It feels like a spin-off or a tie-in to the main thing.
Aren't all MCU film spin-offs then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Technically.
Yeah.
technically.
I mean, this could be a technical origin for Yelena. This could be a spin-off for Black Widow. Like, it could be all.
But the reason why I say this is that the reason why I have a problem with it is that they have these lines that obviously people like us are gonna nitpick, like that one Twitter user did with the whole family thing. And I feel like whoever wrote this didn't. I mean, they did do the research, but didn't do it well enough. It's like, why wouldn't Natasha mention to the Avengers, like, yeah, I had the Red Guardian is my air quotes dad.
Well, the thing is, like, the unfortunate thing is that's not this movie's problem. That's Endgame's problem. Like, this movie, it's not this movie's fault because what could they do? Like, this movie's trying to tell, and I do think, a good story about her family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that Endgame really, really kind of drives that film into the dirt, and this had to take place before because they killed her.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, watching this only drove me further into. I felt this way when we first reviewed Endgame. Natasha's death was just badly handled and maybe the wrong choice the whole time, and I remain that way. And this only makes me feel more firm in that way. This movie. It's unfortunate this movie had to be made after Endgame to retroactively instill a lot of this, because it means that Endgame can't serve to contribute to the foundation that this film was supposed to build in her character.
Yes.
And that just sucks. That's just the reality. It's not this film's fault, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Real quickly, John Radley in the chat.
Hey, I know that guy.
I have to imagine she would have brought up Alexei to him after all of his boasting, speaking to her conversation.
100%.
Yeah, no, that and like Spark said, it's not this movie's fault. We've danced around it, but Ike Perlmutter was the reason why this film took so long to get made.
Yeah.
Bro, we got quotes for days about all the shitty things he said.
Even that being said, though, Ryan and I talked about this like outside of podcast. Like, the right way to do this would have been to have this movie made. This should have been made in the place of, like, I would almost argue Captain Marvel.
I was going to say Captain Marvel.
Or even just in the year right after Civil War is when this should have been made.
Like, this movie,
like when Ike wasn't still involved,
yeah,
but they had to get to Endgame because of contracts and everything. I get it, but that's where we're
the
at.
thing. If there was no pandemic, this would have came out 1 year after Endgame, right? That's still after she died. Like, it's just they really screwed themselves by not just making the movie when they could have. After Ike was gone, they still had the chance. They still could have done it.
Well, you're right. I never thought about the idea that you could have done this instead of Captain Marvel, because what does Captain Marvel add to Endgame?
She just
other than you would know her when she shows up, but you could have done that retroactively anyway.
Yeah, they met her in the 5-year time span.
That would have been cool.
Whatever.
Yeah,
right. Oh, who's that really cool lady? I want to watch a movie about her. Captain Marvel. Like,
yeah,
the window existed for them to have planned this better. To have. So they talked a lot about how Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame told a large narrative for Bruce and the Hulk. And you know what? I agree. I see the arc. I see the arc and pattern that they designed there. That's there. That's how Natasha should have been handled for this, in tandem with those two films as well. There should have been an arc about what she discovered in this film related to how she behaves through Infinity War and Endgame with the other people. That doesn't exist. That sucks. I go back, like, you go and watch Infinity War now. Yeah, she's wearing a vest she got from her sister. That doesn't mean jack shit in that movie because they didn't know that when they made it.
Nope.
Like, that sucks.
So here's the thing, like, at the vest thing for me went way too long. I really liked it at the beginning. I thought it was great. Look at all the pockets. Like, I think that's hilarious. But, like,
especially the way she delivered it.
Yes,
her bits with it are so good.
Then it's like it keeps going on. It's like, no, you take the jacket. Then she's wearing it at the end. Like, it's supposed to be of, like, this is the character's outfit, and I'm like, it's a vest.
It's a vest.
It's a vest.
Honestly, if Sparks didn't say that was the vest that we see
It's not
Natasha
Captain America's
wearing
shield.
in not Endgame, Infinity War,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have remembered. I didn't remember that.
I didn't know it was her
I didn't
thing.
care.
While we're on continuity flubs. I feel comfortable enough bringing this up. The idea that like I thought the Quinjet that Captain America uses to break everyone out of jail was the Quinjet he flew to Siberia and just flew away with it afterwards with Bucky in tow.
Yeah.
I didn't the guy talking about like wasted characters, her friend dude who
Yeah,
just
what's
gets
his name?
things.
What's his name?
I don't know.
He doesn't have a name.
He had a poster.
He doesn't have a name. His
Yeah.
name is Agent.
He had
You're
a
right.
poster.
He has a
He
poster.
has a poster and he doesn't have a name.
He was there to make you think he was Taskmaster.
And you know what? That would have been a cool
It
reveal.
never
I know.
crosses my mind.
I know.
Yeah.
Not once.
I still, when we met, okay, so I have a lot of positive things to say about this movie. We'll get to it. We will.
Me too.
I
No,
do.
me too.
But like, I got to get it out. This isn't negative, but like, I just thought of Rachel Weisz. I was still on the assumption Rachel Weisz was Taskmaster, especially when she was killing that pig. And I'm like, she's so evil. What do you mean? And then I'm like, oh no, she just forgot what love is. I thought that was great.
I think that like a lot of the reason why this negativity comes out and because like the stuff we were talking about with Dreykov and Taskmaster, like that's just a problem with this movie. But then there's other things that are just essentially a problem with this film because like this film had to happen after they decided to already kill this character. And the shitty thing is, the thing that really bums me out is that because of the press stuff around this movie, we found out something that we didn't know before, which is that I assumed Scarlett Johansson was just ready to bow out. And that's why she was killed off in Endgame. That's not true. Kevin Feige came to her and told her, we're killing Black Widow.
Yeah.
And she revealed that in a press thing. And I'm like, well, that stinks.
If you guys
Oh, I
remember,
didn't hear that.
yeah,
Right.
So in the editing, they couldn't decide who were they going to kill with Hawkeye or Black Widow, and it was originally going to be Hawkeye. And the editor of the movie said it would have been more powerful if like Black Widow was allowed to make this choice as the woman or whatever. And that was the choice they made. And that goes to show you they were still indecisive in the editing of that. Who should they kill? So that means, you know what? It's not really important.
That to be perfectly fair, we heard about Endgame's editing issues for a long time. They were very clear about like when they were editing Endgame, they weren't sure how the movie was going to go.
But again, like if it's like if you can just kill either character with like no consequence, then like maybe you shouldn't do it because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer because I assumed that the reason that she was stepping out of the MCU was because she wanted to.
Yeah.
I had assumed that too.
That apparently is not true.
That's a shame.
She has now said because
'Cause
she now feels comfortable enough to, but in press interviews, like right now, she's been like, no, I was told that Black Widow was dying. So she was escorted out of this series. Essentially.
I like she said some silly things in interviews and stuff, but I really like Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Like I like that character, and I really like Black Widow as a character.
This movie made me want more
Yes.
of her being able to actually do stuff on her own because I'm like, look, she could hold a movie fine. Like that wasn't the issue. That is not the issue in this movie is can she hold the movie?
In another world, we could have gotten a trilogy of these before.
Yeah.
Ryan and I literally talked about like what we really needed was a movie that's like pre-Iron Man 2, a movie that's post-Winter Soldier, and then this one.
Yeah.
Post-Civil War.
And this
The
would've been-
And that
Post-Winter
should be a
Soldier
trilogy of Black Widow films.
The Post-Winter Soldier one is one I've been
You and me both.
lamenting like
You and me
we
both.
should have gotten this after Winter Soldier.
yeah.
And I'm sure there is a part of I'm sure Kevin Feige wishes that that's something they'd done.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't change the fact that like her being cut out now and then us having this and like what this movie shows we could have had and like where just not only like the potential but also knowing like man even the good character stuff that is here most of it for her is a dead end because it's not built on
And
in the movies that technically follow it.
if this movie could have come out way earlier, and like we have a trilogy of these movies and these characters, so when she does die, it affects the Avengers and her Russian family. Like that would have been like so impactful and so great. And I'm just like, man, I hate business decisions.
I do appreciate that we get some. There's a post-credits thing. Obviously, I do appreciate that we have context now for why Yelena is in the Hawkeye series.
Mhm.
Sure.
I think that's kind of cool that it stems from her death in Endgame.
Yes. And even though we are losing a pretty good Black Widow, Florence Pugh is a much better actress. So we're gonna get a really good
Florence
Black Widow.
Pugh's Yelena. I'm 100% on board with.
I cannot believe I had no idea what that character was going to be. I have never fallen so in love with a character so fast. you
Me
guys.
too.
Holy
Man.
shit! This is where the positivity is about to come in because like all 4 of the Russian family characters, all of them flawless. I have no problems with any of the good characters.
Dan Harbour, Rachel Weisz, Florence Pugh,
David Harbour.
David Harbour, thank you. All 3 of them, I effing love in this movie.
And
I were to watch this, if I'm going to watch this sooner, the only reason why is because of those 3.
Honestly, and Scarlett Johansson was just able to. I think she was allowed to do more
Yes.
with her character by having scenes with those characters.
Mhm.
There's the whole scene between her and Melina, Rachel Weisz's character, where they're in their separate rooms and she's telling her about what really happened to her mom. Some of the best Natasha work Scarlett Johansson's ever been allowed to do.
Mhm.
She's bringing it.
Yeah.
It's just that some parts of the film are not serving to tell this story the best, but everything about their family unit, that's great. That's so golden. It's what elevates the film.
I have a note that says, for the most part, the actions, whatever. I'm not crazy about any of the action sequences in this movie. But I really love the heart of the movie.
Mhm.
I really like that Scarlett Johansson is able to bring more to Natasha, and I really like all of the hidden sadness that the three others bring to their characters is so good.
Yeah.
And we mentioned Florence Pugh is incredible in the role of Yelena. She's the standout for me in this movie. Probably my favorite Florence Pugh role at this point. As much as I love Midsummer, like this is for me like so much fun. She's so much fun in this.
I really need to get to that Fighting with My Family movie.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was.
I hear she's really great.
Isn't she in that
That's-
Indy Goes West, Fido Goes West? What's the drama?
Fifo Goes West?
No, it's like a
Not Fifo Goes
got
West.
Aubrey Plaza in it.
No, that's not her.
That's not her.
That's Elizabeth Olsen.
That's Elizabeth Olsen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
It is a good movie. Ingrid Goes West.
There you go. I was
Yeah.
close.
Like Fifo Goes West is a sequel.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that just the three of them, just the heart of this movie was so there for me. The humor of this movie was so there for me.
The like the dry humor, like it almost always worked for me, especially with David Harbour. Like
somebody pointed out, like the nice thing about Black Widow's humor is that it comes from character interaction rather than from like witty dialogue bits or jokes. It's all about like situational humor of these characters interacting with each other, which is just so good. I didn't think this movie would be as funny as
I think it's actually pretty well written for the character stuff.
Yeah.
That dinner scene, like when they're all around a table, like we've seen it in the trailers, but like when Yelena's like, I thought it was real, and then she goes deeper into it, and like, because she was 6 years old, like she's a child.
Natasha, don't slouch. Just
Yeah.
like with Rachel Weisz instantly turning into a mom is like, hey, don't slouch, and and seeing like the love that David Harbour's character and Melina and Alexi's character, they still love each
Oh my
other.
God.
Even though their marriage was air quotes fake, he loves her.
Yeah.
And she loves him. And I'm like, man.
Everything that was about that family, like all of them have their own personal approach and reason, and it's not even, it's never overtly stated for all of them. Yelena's is, but like the rest of them, it's all kind of under the surface stuff, but it's clearly present that they all have different views on what their family was like, what that time meant to them, but for all of them it was important, and they're all kind of handling or hiding that in their own way, and trying to move past it in their own way, and it's not working when they all have to come back together.
You could tell,
and I think that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yelena takes much more after Alexi, because like she's got his sense of humor, whereas Natasha's a little more strict like her mom. And I'm like, I love that, like you could see like the family parallels, because like Alexi's just like ripping jokes all the time.
It was 3 years, but it's the closest thing to like parental influence that Yelena or Natasha ever had.
Honestly, my favorite line in the whole movie might be Alexi going, I have so much energy. And he's like, this is Marvel movies are notoriously not horny. This movie's pretty horny.
Oh, very horny.
This movie's pretty horny.
The Disney films have been notoriously not horny.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. The Paramount films were very
horny.
horny.
Iron Man sleeping with chicks. Yeah.
If you all remember the Incredible Hulk joke where he starts to...
I can't get that excited.
To bend Betty starts beeping.
Yeah, him and Betty are making... I was like, can't get that excited.
This was a big fun spy movie. And like, it was doing like... so the guy who did the score also did the score for the last Mission... Who did the score for the last Mission Impossible movie. I'm like, well, that makes sense. This feels very Mission Impossible-y. And like the face swapping stuff, there was actually a twist that I didn't expect, but like face swapping. And that's when
Rachel Weisz being...
I still was convinced
that was a great swap.
That Rachel Weisz was still evil because she called the Shield, she called the Red Room team. And
real good twist.
And then she turns out, she did it for the family, and she's the one in prison. I thought the pheromone stuff, that is something straight out of Metal Gear Solid, so I loved it. People online seem to not like it. I love it. I think the pheromone, you can't touch me, you got to break your nose thing is awesome.
So here's what I'll say about that. Like, I think that the idea of like the pheromone thing, and both the gas that helps break them free of the mind control, both of those things I think are really clever and good bits. My issue is that it's just still not taken up to the notch of like Dreykov's villainy in designing these things.
Yeah.
You know, like it's also surface level when I'm like, please drive him home on the fact that he went so deep to create these things to control women around him.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool as concepts, but he himself is not serving
I
those
agree.
concepts.
He sucks.
No, I know. And that's
Yeah.
really where my issue comes from is I'm like, this is a really ingenious and sick and gross thing. And I don't think you're reveling in it enough or justifying enough the person who would have created this.
Like he really should have been in the movie. And I understand why they like you had to pretend.
I don't even think he needed to be in the movie more. He did need to be amplified in the scenes he's in.
Yeah.
Other people needed to talk about him in the way that made it impactful of like, you need to understand just how absolutely vile this person is, especially to women.
Because to me, he just
Melina should have been the vehicle for talking about it more at the farmhouse.
Melina seems more evil than he does at sometimes, like killing pigs.
And she should have like opened up a lot about it. Honestly, it should have been coming mostly from her.
Yeah.
And I wish that had happened. Because that again, like that is for me, like Dreykov should have more of a pathology that actually makes him stand apart.
Yeah, because he's just like evil just for power. Like,
yeah, well, and like if you're gonna have this like message of like this man controlling women kind of thing, and like you want to be this pro ladies movie that's tackling this misogynistic asshole, like actually drive home how much of a misogynistic asshole he is, not just with like the surface level stuff, but like really make him a disgusting, gross person.
Yeah.
In like every facet, and in a way where like other people have to talk about like how terrible the things he does to women are, and I feel like it's never, even like when they do kind of go into it, like Yelena talking about like, because it's played for comedy and it is funny, but like talking about grossing Alexei out about how she talks about how they were
the hysterectomy.
Yes.
Oh, dude, just flush it all out.
Not attaching that directly to Dreykov in the moment is not helping to contribute that image of him.
You're right.
And it should be like, this is the thing that Dreykov put us through.
It's true.
There's a moment I really like, not to handbrake turn into
no, it's fine. It's fine. I just
after that one.
I just wanted to put that out there.
There's a lot of fun parallels that Yelena plays with in this movie that I think really work really well to her character as far as humor and emotion. There's the one where she says, this would be a pretty cool way to die with the avalanche, and then she says, this would not be a cool place to die.
Yes.
But then the bit where she's about to destroy the ship, which does not look as bad as the internet is making it out to be.
Out of context, I will say out of context, it does not look good.
But when she does the thing and she says it was fun, that's a really good emotional beat for me.
I do want to talk about, I don't think, like, I hear what everybody's saying about that moment. I don't agree about the part of it that looks bad. The part of it that looks bad to me is Natasha in front of that bad green screen. That looks so much like she's not there.
Yeah.
That one is hard for me to that, like, because I've seen that clip floating around. I'm like, I don't know what y'all are complaining about. The real problem here is Natasha in front of that green screen.
Yeah.
That looks real not good. Yeah.
I didn't think I disagree about the action. I didn't think any of it was like this is not the best action movie in the MCU, but I thought all of the hand-to-hand scenes were pretty good.
I think it's cool.
I especially think the first bridge scene between Taskmaster. Yes. I think that's excellent. I think that's probably
one
the best
of the things. The reason why I bring up the action is because one of the things that we knew was going to happen in this movie, because we talked about it before on the show. The MCU action sequences are often done by second unit directors with no input from the first unit directors. And we heard about the first director that was attached to this movie left because of that reason. You look at something like Bird's Prey, which has a really good action sequence, really inventive. Like, it's clear that the director's eye. You look at some of the other directors in the MCU, such as James Gunn. You know, they really like try to bring in their voice to the action sequences. I think the action is good. It works for the movie, but there's nothing in it that says to me like this is just kind of MCU action again.
I think what is cool is how effectively, like, you can spot the hero's Taskmaster is mimicking. Is cool that it's there. I will say I'm mildly underwhelmed by Alexei and Taskmaster's final fight in the third act. I wish it was better and bigger. My favorite action sequence, actually, that I don't think is getting talked about enough, is the big car chase.
Yeah,
that's my favorite action piece. The part where Yelena swerves the car and makes the door pop off and take out the motorcyclist. I'm like, this is good shit.
Yeah,
this is real good shit. And the way the tank comes around after them, I was like, this is real solid. Yeah. I think that's actually the best, most solid action piece throughout.
And I think the ending isn't good, but I do like the final when everything's falling through the sky. I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I do
And like
too.
Taskmaster with the sword.
Yeah,
and
I think it
stuff.
looks really good too.
Yeah.
The way she's sliding down when he comes out, like we've seen it in the trailer, but I'm like, this
Yeah.
looks pretty cool.
The motion of this movie works so well for me that doing this show, I know where Yelena's going to show up next. We heard that she was going to be in
Mhm.
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
When she does it was fun, and she blows herself up. I, for a moment, was so entrenched in the emotion of the movie that I forgot that she didn't have plot armor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That she was going to be okay. I was like, oh no.
So this is the other thing, is that like Yelena getting to put in the final move on Dreykov, I just wish again more of that direct like connotation of like how bad he is, not just to Natasha but to everyone, was
Yeah.
made clear. But it feels like it's only in some ways personally addressed for Natasha. Like obviously Elena has a dog in the fight, but again, like I feel too often that it's just talked about as the red room, the badness of this program, this thing, and I'm like, please associate it directly to Dreykov. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about how Dreykov is the person who does all the bad things here. His Sky Fortress is cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Real Eggman vibes, right, Ben?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
When I first saw the trailer for this that showed the falling, I was kind of worried about the stakes being, about the scale of the movie being so high. I really wanted a more kind of Mission Impossible, like Ryan keeps talking
Mhm.
about, feel to the movie. And the Sky Fortress was not as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be from those trailers, and so I did get much more of a Mission Impossible like type of.
I'm
film, which
with you.
really
I was like,
liked.
oh, are they
100%.
falling off like a satellite in
Yeah.
in space? Like,
Right.
No, yeah.
We were. I think we were all on that note, and I'm pleased with the way that
Yeah.
rounds out.
The thing that I'm because I know Sparks, we talked about it a lot before, but like how subdued this movie was in being a Marvel movie. Like
sure.
I was expecting Hawkeye, I was expecting Nick Fury.
Yes, I was so glad
I
that
was
we didn't see
expecting Cap.
I was so
Yeah.
glad we didn't see flashbacks to Budapest.
Yeah.
Outside of
We see
Dreykov's
quick.
daughter, that explosion,
that's
which
new
I think
footage, though,
I think that's important.
Yeah.
But I was glad we didn't see like there's a reference to Hawkeye's arrows, but we don't see a flashback to like the moment when he was there with her,
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Also-
There's the reference to them hiding in the events,
yeah,
which
with
I
all
think is
the-
cool.
With all the tic-tac-toe and the hangman
thing
that
is-
says
Cute, yeah.
bitch.
The thing is, the thing about Budapest that always annoyed me was that the fandom thought that when she said it was like Budapest, it meant aliens were involved or something was involved. Something big happened in Budapest. And I'm like, no, they were just cornered in the same situation. You can see it in the damn movie. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy that they were like, Black Widow, yeah, they were in Budapest. That's where they killed Dreykov's daughter. And then they had a shootout with some people.
Now I will say, and I didn't actually expect it. This is one that I haven't talked to you guys about a cameo, but I expected the Winter Soldier to be mentioned in this movie because the Winter Soldier is a Russian brainwashed assassin. The fact that I don't mention him whatsoever in the Russian movie, I'm like, he didn't have to be in a movie because he would be in Wakanda at this point. But the fact that they don't mention like, oh, we tried this in a different scenario with the Winter Soldier or something like that, like,
Well,
it's just weird to me.
Well, isn't in the in the movie? So this was weird to me. So Winter Soldier, I think in the movies is just retconned to be a Hydra soldier, not a Russian
Yeah.
soldier.
I guess that's true. He was like stationed in Russia.
Right.
But
And
But with
by the
Russia-
third film, we
Hyd-
see that he was
Hydra moves to Russia.
right. So what we see in this in this film, they say that Alexei and Melina had gotten help with the super soldier serum from Hydra,
Mhm.
working together. So the thing that we see in Civil War with the other super soldiers is related to whatever Alexei and
Yes.
Melina was
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
So that was the kind of thing where I was like, oh, so there is actually a connection here, but they didn't. It's not important to the movie, so they don't spend a lot of time on
Yeah.
it. But that was a little kind of question.
I
in
would
my
have
head.
like I hear you. I hear like wanting a little more of that, and I kind of wish it was expanded on, but like more than anything, I just wish Dreykov was a stronger presence.
Oh, yeah,
so like
yeah.
so like
Totally.
that for me, I'm like just fine.
Like we don't actually see him until the very end of the movie. We see his hand on a console. That's about it.
And we see. I mean, again, we see him in the beginning.
Yeah,
yeah,
they
Dreykov's in
land
the beginning when they
Cuba.
land up.
Yeah, we.
But it's for like a minute, and he seems like a good guy in there.
Honestly, when we first see him for a hot second, I thought it was just some random Russian general for the
he's the
Soviet
main
Union.
antagonist of the movie.
You know what? This actually all circles around something that I do want to bring up, which is that the tone of this film is set by something that I don't feel like the rest of the film pays off on, and it's the trafficking of girls.
you want to talk about the Nirvana
opening,
cover?
which the opening credits, which this has opening credits, which is cool, really sets up a particular type of image, and I think that it is doing a lot of the legwork of trying to say what the emotional stakes for these characters are supposed to be, that the rest of the film is not allowing the characters to reflect on.
I agree. I
And
thought
that's what really gets to me about Dreykov, is that I'm like, the association of that
Yes.
is so dark, and I don't feel like it's present enough. Even as like, again, we're kind of like just we're talking about these things rather than like showing how these things actually directly affect them.
It's the Falcon and Winter Soldier thing.
Sure,
They're, like they won't really go into it. And again, like I think I like the opening credit sequence. I think it's interesting they use the Nirvana song and they deliberately leave out the word libido, but they keep in other silly words that are in that thing. Like Marvel's just silly sometimes. But yeah, it set a tone that the rest of the movie wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was expecting it like, cause like I was really impressed by that opening thing. I'm like, oh shit, is this gonna be like really dark? And it's not. But I guess like, hey, you can just be stylish if you want for 2 minutes. That's cool.
Yeah. Let me see about my notes. Anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, there's a real big one. I want to talk about the Ross in the room.
What do you mean? He's not even there.
Yeah, that's my problem. So there was just no reason to call Ross at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because they clearly shot that scene.
Clearly they shot a scene that he was supposed to get out of the vehicle and have a conversation or something with her because we saw it.
I was waiting to see how she got away from from Ross and his team when in this wreckage of the Sky
she changed
Fortress.
her hair color.
And then she's just gone. I'm like,
How about she waits for Ross?
Yes,
she
that's
waits
my
for him.
thing.
I'm like, what is gonna happen here?
So my thing was that like, okay, so like if we're not going to do a scene with Ross, let's just not show calling Ross as important.
I don't mind the beginning.
No, I don't either. That's not my problem.
I-
I'm talking
I-
about the ending only.
The ending doesn't work for me because we know that Black Widow was never arrested to go to the raft. And even the movie tells you, oh no, she didn't go to the raft. Why not? If she specifically waited for Ross and
Right,
then waited for
because
him
we
to
are
pick up
not
everyone.
shown a scene that was filmed before, and I'm like, fine, it's cool if you want to cut that scene. Also, just cut Ross. Cut the mention of sending out a distress signal to him. Let them handle this on their own. Know that they're doing it on their own mission, and then at the end, have her say her goodbye, and that be the end of that. And then cut to a couple weeks later, she changed it. Don't even have me think about the Ross thing if we're not going to figure that out. It's fine that you decided to cut that scene. Like, don't have him.
Yeah.
I was really left a little deflated after.
It felt like it was building to a moment there, and then it just stops. The movie just stops and says, "Oh, 2 weeks later," and I'm like.
So
what?
So we get that scene, like if Ross doesn't show up, then it's 2 weeks later, and it's just her looking at her Infinity War. It's like, I'm gonna go do the Infinity War now, and just the last shot of the movie is just her in a
Well, right, she
Quinjet.
because she has to break. They say that she has to break out the people in the raft, but
Steve
Captain
Rogers
America
did
does.
that.
So this is my other thing. I appreciated that we only got a vocal cameo from Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And it could have even just been recycled dialogue. Although we know from Throg that they're not opposed to just recording little new snippets. But I take out her friend and have the person showing up at the end be Captain America. Because again, and Civil
They
War,
just
like,
weren't going to open up a new contract with him.
But at the end, you're right. But like at the end of Civil War, like we know he has the Quinjet, and with Winter Soldier, and we know that he breaks the people out of the raft.
Yep.
So like have her be a part of that.
It's
Say
again,
that she was part of that mission.
They had like the ending. You're like, well, how do we get there? And like, does it make sense? No, but she's dead, so who cares?
Get rid of the dude. Get rid of her friend. He doesn't
And the shitty thing
impact
is like,
the movie at all.
I think he has a good personality, and I like he's cheeky. But again, they don't even give him a name. Like he's a nothing.
You
character.
take out the movie, there is nothing about. Sorry. You take out the character, and nothing about the movie changes.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I just feel like the ending kind of like just goes out like a wet fart in a way, and I'm like, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Because I like everything about like up into the moment where the rest of the family leaves with the other widows.
The middle of the movie,
I think everything's like cool.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, all right, waiting for Ross. Nope, never mind. Oh, Infinity War setup. Fireflies.
Yeah, like halfway into this movie, like when all the characters have met and they're doing their stuff, I'm like, man, this movie's awesome. I'm loving what's happening right now.
So,
But then we get back to like the bad guys.
So Mag actually has a question for us.
Mag.
Why do you always do that? Get out
He's
of my space.
He's interested.
Personal space, Ben. That's fair. Mag says, any Easter eggs you guys find?
Not too many.
I mean,
Not too many.
I watched it once.
I've only seen it once. I didn't see any big ones.
I have a pretty good Marvel eye. This was
Yeah.
pretty much. Oh yes, their Ursa Major is in this movie. He's the guy in prison. He calls
The big guy.
He calls him a bear. Like David Harbour says, "Oh, he's a bear." And he
I-
goes,
is that the
I
guy
saw
who gets
it.
his arm broke?
yes.
I saw it. I'll accept it.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about
I'm
it.
not happy about it because he told me Ursa was in the movie. I wanted a bear, man.
I wanted a bear.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
There
fine.
is Crimson Dynamo. They call Red Guardian Crimson
Yeah.
Dynamo.
Yes, that's a cute thing.
There's not a whole lot that I noticed.
So I've read again, it's not because like I read 1,000 comics, it's because they haven't made many. I've read every Black Widow comic that's come out in the last 10 years. They didn't do a goddamn thing with any of her Black Widow comics. Dreykov is an original character. He's not from the comics. They didn't pull anything from the
Right,
comics
they were
except for
working-
Yelena.
They were working backwards from that interrogation scene
Yes,
in
100%.
Avengers.
Yeah. Oh, that's
which you never needed to.
Nope.
yeah.
You never needed to.
They could have done like there's like a great there's the Phil Noto arc that I really like where like there's an evil organization called Chaos, KAOS, and like they could have done something like that. Like they could have done something, but it's just like, oh, we're gonna do the one thing everyone knows her from. It's the Red Room. It's the thing that everyone knows. I'm like, I guess, sure, I get it.
Like I said, I kind of like the idea of the Red Room.
An evil
We're-
version of our character, like every other origin movie.
Well, I mean, honestly, I've never minded that. But I did like. I do like the idea of Dreykov's daughter being a ghost to Natasha, and I like the idea that the Red Room is still there, even though she thinks it's supposed to be gone.
I think it's served better in this film than any other. Again, remove the Taskmaster thing. Let's just talk about it being Dreykov's daughter.
Yeah.
About this, like, if she had been the Red Widow or something and served the exact same purpose, couldn't talk, but countered her in all these ways for the action set pieces. The fact that it is Dreykov's daughter, and we learn that Dreykov's daughter is the thing that is the collateral she had to pay to become a member of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mhm.
and leave her life as a widow in the Red Room, like being haunted by that literally in her moment and having to look at the reflection of like the past, no matter how much she's done to be a hero that she can't get away from. Super good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super great thematic idea.
Yes.
Shouldn't have been Taskmaster.
No.
But I think that is a smart call. And I honestly wish there had been a little bit longer of an action beat between the two of them at the end of the film where she's trying to help her and can't kill her,
Mhm.
but this person has to kill her. I wish they had been able to fluff that out. It ended a little faster than I wanted it to, even though it would have been more or less the same.
Another thing I just thought was really funny. Right before the Taskmaster fight, Red Guardian's like, Melina, if this is the last time oh, you're gone.
Yeah. Or just him trying to talk to Natasha, and it's like, you don't have an earpiece.
Again,
Yeah.
like, man, like the comedy is so good, and like those supporting cast is so strong. And it's like you got so much stuff up here, but then you got stuff down here. So I'm like, oh man, it's
Yeah.
still can't it all be even?
Shall we
Stevens.
rate? And is there anything else you guys want to bring up? Or?
One thing I just want to touch on very lightly is that there are some shots in this movie that I thought were really weird. Just the way it was shot, the angles were kind of weird. I don't know if you guys thought of any of that.
Not really.
No.
There's just some close-ups and some like shots of random things. I'm like, are we focusing?
Ben, if you
on
don't
that?
mind, can I ask? Did you go see this in theaters?
Theaters, yes.
Okay, I was just curious.
Good.
Yes. All right. Shall
That's
we rate
it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, Ben, why don't you rate it first?
7.
Ryan.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Good, not great. Good, not great.
Sparks.
Yeah, I'm gonna give quick final thoughts if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that the shittiest thing about this is that there's no way to work around the fact that what we're doing is having to build up essentially a character's origin film
She's
in
dead.
a thing where we've been piecemealing it through all the other movies and then also killed her already. So like you're just having to kind of shoehorn this in, and there's just no getting around that, and that's just crappy.
It sucks.
And like the context of the wider world around this film for Natasha is a bummer, because this shows how much more there could have been done with this. For Yelena and for the others, it's like, hey, great. I'm super, like, great foundation. Here we go. Take off.
Thank
Let's
God
go.
they didn't kill any of those characters that can all show up again.
Right.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. Like, great open roads for all of them. For Natasha, it's kind of a bittersweet thing. And that there's no world where you get around that. And it's a shame that's kind of one of the biggest things, like pulling this movie back. That and like the villain Dreykov specifically for me needed to be stronger. Again, like it just didn't need to be Taskmaster.
Listen,
We back up that.
Natasha was a poser anyway, so like, you know.
But I wish that, that villain force had just been like actually driven home as like the representation of all the grossness that we're told time and again what Natasha has gone through. Like this is the guy behind all of that for so many women. I wanted that to have the impact that I feel
It makes me
could
wonder.
have just punched it all the way home.
If the movie was originally going to be that, and they were like, don't go so hard.
Yeah.
I forgot to. Sorry, Sparks. Real quick.
No, it's okay.
I did forget to ask. Was there anything we wanted to say about Val?
No.
Because
We know nothing about her.
I know, but does this? So we weren't. I know we were kind of not crazy about her in Falcon Winter Soldier. This doesn't really do anything to help that.
I said to Ryan.
Oh, Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I
Yes,
was like,
yes.
who the hell is Val?
Val Kilmer, the trailer we watched.
I said to Ryan that I'm like, honestly, if this was supposed to come out first, I'm kind of glad her introduction was in Falcon and Winter Soldier because it felt like a better introduction to me than this was.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
me.
So we talked about her very briefly. I'm still under the assumption that she's creating either the Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts or some combination of the two. I think now that I don't think she says, "Oh, your next target's Hawkeye." I don't think she's going to kill Hawkeye. I think she's trying to recruit Hawkeye.
I don't think she's either. I think she's going to try to kill Hawkeye at first, and then she's going to team up with Hawkeye about whatever's going on that show.
Yeah. I don't know what to think of her yet. I'm still not sure if she's good or evil.
I don't think Renner sticks around after the Hawkeye show.
I hope he doesn't.
I doubt
No
it.
offense
Yeah.
to you, Jeremy Renner.
His character has literally been trying to retire for like 4 movies.
His character did retire. Then he was
his character
brought back
has
in.
retired.
Yeah.
Sparks, what would the rating be for you?
7.5.
So we got 7, 7.5, 7.5. I'm actually going to go 8.
Wow,
8.
nice.
I really enjoyed this,
I'm glad.
despite my flaws.
My impressions may change in the future, but
I'm
for
sure
the
in
moment,
2
this is
years
what it
I'll
is.
still hate Jake off, but I'll be less sad about her being a dead character.
Yeah, as you know, as things smooth over, your opinions smooth over over time.
Yeah.
Mag has one final comment before we get into our book club. He says timeline post credits guesses probably means when do we think the post credits take place? I just
After
think
Endgame.
an indiscriminate time after Endgame.
Yep.
I suspect probably like not moments, sorry. Like within a month before the Hawkeye show takes place, whenever that is.
Yeah.
Which I would suspect is probably like 3 months after Endgame.
All right, shall we get into our book club then?
Yes.
Book it.